The Atlas map has been revealed, and no one even noticed. Not even me, guys. So the information that will be in this video is coming from the recent PC Gamer UK article. It contains a ton of info, and it actually included a map. Now, I've been on Reddit, and I've been paying attention to YouTube, and there's not a lot of talk about this, and in fact, I, on first looking at this map that's popping up on your screen right now, was convinced that it was something PC Gamer had thrown together in order to illustrate the size of the Atlas world compared to the size of the Ark world. Since then, I have come to the conclusion that this is in fact the real map, and in this video I will be listing my reasons for why I think so. This being said, guys, I came to this conclusion after working on a video all day today that includes a section on treasure maps, so I have a lot more content coming. I'm kind of obsessed with the game right now and itching to play it. Because I can't, I'm going to keep pumping out videos that preview the game and talk about it. If you, like me, are equally as obsessed and excited, you're going to want to do a few things. Subscribe, click that little bell notification. I never ask people to do this, but now is the time to do that. My content will be Atlas heavy, and if you're into it, you will appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at UniteTheClans. I'm tweeting about this stuff as well, and if you want to join in the conversation, head to the Atlas Reddit. It's r/playatlas. There is a conversation going on right now about this map, whether it is the real thing, and I'm getting feedback that is actually going to be included in this video. So with all of that said, guys, let's dive into this, and I will tell you why I believe that this is the map. It has been revealed, and you will be able to go forward now knowing what the map of Atlas is going to look like. That being said, this is speculation, and of course, this was put together weeks ago, and it's possible that it's changed since then. But if I am right, you will at least have a good idea of what the world is going to look like in Atlas when you take a look at your map. Reason number one that this is the map of Atlas. It says so right on the image you're looking at. Quote, "In this image, the blue square is the Atlas map, and the dot we've zoomed in on is Ark." Now, in this map, there is a square in the center that represents the island map from Ark, and then there is a big version of it up in the top right with the arrow pointing to the middle. Because of that, I didn't really take into account and even look at the caption, but that caption says, quote, "The blue square is the Atlas map." Interesting. If PC Gamer had thrown this together to demonstrate what the map would look like, they wouldn't say that. That is my first point, and if that doesn't convince you, I've got some more. As I mentioned, my next video is on the topic of treasure maps. I believe we have seen 3 of them. One from the leaked trailer, one in this PC Gamer article, and one from the official announced trailer. When I look at each of the treasure maps, they have a area around them, almost a halo, a outline of light blue color. Now that would represent shallow water. If you go ahead and look at some of the dots that are represented on this big zoomed out map, just taking a quick glance, you will see that some of these seem to represent a small circle of yellowish or greenish land with a light blue halo around them. If I take each of the treasure maps I have seen and zoom way out, they would look a lot like the tiny dots that you see on this big image. That is point number 2. Point number 3 also comes back to treasure maps. Now, you are going to want to check out my next video for an in-depth look at this, but the way that treasure maps are going to work is going to be a cartography challenge. You are going to get out of a bottle a scrap of map. It is going to contain a single island, and that island is going to have a unique coastline. You are then going to take the image that is on your scrap of map and compare it to the world map, thereby matching up what's in your hand to what you can find in the real world. What that tells me, by deductive reasoning, is that each island, each of the 700 islands, is going to have a unique shape and a distinct coastline of its own. If not, then a treasure map would lead to multiple locations. If, for example, they were to copy-paste an island and have the same island appear multiple places inside the world, then your treasure map would lead to more than one place, and this mechanic wouldn't work. With that being said, the more that I look at the image that is on your screen of the huge zoomed out Atlas map, the more I think that each of the dots could represent a unique island. If this was not the real map, if PC Gamer had thrown it together, you would see patterns and you would see certain shapes repeating over and over again. Now, we don't have a high-def image, of course, but I don't really see a lot of repetition. It is entirely possible that each of the tiny dots on the big map represents a unique shape. And if you were to take each of those treasure maps and zoom on out, they would look a lot like these dots. Number 4, the size of these islands seems about right. We have the Ark Island map for comparison. That contains several biomes of its own, and if you look at the big map, it is pretty substantially the largest piece of land. If you took the Ark Island and slapped it right in the middle of this, it would be bigger than any of the islands anywhere else on the map. Each of the islands is going to represent a single biome, and they range in size from fairly big to really tiny, and I think are roughly the size of an Ark biome. If you think about a small biome, like say the redwoods from the island map, is pretty self-contained, or a huge biome like the desert from the Ragnarok map, that variety of size is basically represented by each of the tiny dots that appear on the map. So if each one represents a single biome, these dots are about the right size. The next point, and one that I think is very convincing, is that the number is about right. This is not a perfect grid by any means, but if you were to try and create the 700 islands that appear in Atlas on a perfectly aligned grid, you would need a 26 by 26 grid, and that would be a little bit too small. A 27 by 27 grid would be a little bit too big. Go ahead and count the islands across the top of the screen, and you will see that it might be about the right number. So by a rough guess, assuming that the same density of islands appears under the Ark maps that are covering up some of the Atlas map, this image would contain somewhere between 600 and 750 islands. Atlas is purported to launch with 700 islands, so if this isn't the correct map, it has almost the exact number of dots that would be required. Now, I am not going to be the idiot that actually tries to count each of these dots, so my rough estimate is all you are going to get. I think that this represents around 700 islands. The last point, and this is one that I only got because of the folks on Reddit, is one that you can't unsee once you see it. Atlas has been referred to as a globe. In some of the promotional stuff, it says sail the globe or whatever. If you look at the map, guys, the dots at the top and the dots at the bottom are lightly colored. They are almost white in comparison to the greenish and yellowish dots that litter the center of the map. If this were to represent a globe, and interestingly enough, we can speculate as to whether this world is circumnavigable. Can you sail off one side and sail into the other? If you go off the top of the map, do you appear on the bottom? If you go off the left, do you appear on the right? Like a Pac-Man game? Potentially. Is that how Pac-Man works? I hope I didn't just embarrass myself. The dots at the top of the map and the dots at the bottom of the map look like they represent snow islands. We know there are snow biomes in the game, and fascinatingly, once you start looking, you realize that all of the light-colored ones seem to be clustered together at the top and the bottom, potentially representing a North Pole and a South Pole. This is not something that occurred to me, so shout out to Reddit user Kiki Mora for pointing that out. I think it totally makes sense, and I appreciate the input. If you guys aren't on the Reddit for Atlas, get on there. I'm on there every day talking, speculating, and getting a ton of the information that you're seeing in these videos from the community there. So that is another point in favor of this being the real map. And guys, I'm ready to what do you call it? I'm ready to close the case. What does a lawyer say? I rest my case. This is the official Atlas map. Now, a couple of things need to be said. First of all, I'm speculating. I don't know. Second of all, this article was prepared over several weeks, and I think it's quite possible that if this was the accurate map at the time of the article being written, it could have changed. But I don't think so. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is the map. Whether you actually want to start planning where you want to go or what you want to do, whether you want to go under the assumption that snow biomes will be found only at the north and south extremes, or you want to head for, say, a particularly big-looking island, we don't even know where we're going to start. But it's a safe bet to assume it might be the middle of the map, right where it's pointing to. There's also 2 Ark maps. one in the middle that is bigger than any island, and one in the top right that is going to cover up roughly 90 islands. So we have no idea what's going on in those two areas, and we don't know for sure that this is the real one. But guys, it says it on the damn image. The blue square is the Atlas map, and the dot we've zoomed in on is Ark. Now, we don't have a ton to go on, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the map. Has anybody else said that? I don't know. But once I made that realization, guys, I wanted to make this video and let you know that I'm pretty sure we figured it out. We have found the real map. If you have strong arguments against, hit me up in the comments or go join the conversation on Reddit. And if you're just here to consume as much Atlas content as possible while you desperately wait for the game to be released so you can play it, then you're going to want to do all the stuff I mentioned at the beginning. Subscribe, click the notification button, hit me up on Twitter at UniteTheClans, and go join in the convo over on Reddit. You can also join my Discord, link for that in the description. All of those things will allow us to keep talking about this game and to keep building hype for it. Alright guys, that is going to do it. As I mentioned, I have a video coming out tomorrow that focuses massively in on exploration and treasure hunting. And beyond that, there is a clear hint from Studio Wildcard that something new and exciting is coming later tonight. If it happens to be something that reveals new information about the game, I don't really sleep these days, so I'm going to go ahead and make a video on that too. You'll want to stay tuned to the channel. I'll pop that stuff up on the screen as soon as it's ready, and I'll pop you up with a couple of my other Atlas videos now until I have something newer and more exciting to show you. Thank you for watching, guys. Hit me up in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? You don't have to tell me. I'm right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.